The first sign of trouble came with a sharp knock at my cabin door. I opened it to find a neatly folded letter taped there, held in place by a strip of blue painter's tape. The paper bore the crest of the local homeowners association, a stylized tree with cursive lettering underneath. The message was typed and formal, but the tone wasn't hard to decipher. You are hereby notified that your dwelling is in violation of community covenants by being constructed on HOA property. Immediate removal is demanded. Failure to comply within 30 days will result in legal action. It was signed by Karen Whitmore, president of the Pine Ridge Estates HOA. I didn't know a Karen. I also didn't know that Pine Ridge Estates had any authority over my land, mostly because I'd bought this patch of mountain slope 5 years ago after triple-checking it was outside any HOA. At the time, that had been the selling point. Peace. Quiet. No dues, no meetings, no committees telling me what color mailbox I could have. Just forest, sky, and the sweet hum of solitude. My one-bedroom cabin sat at the end of a dirt road, backed by 2 acres of pine and rock, and as far as I knew, the nearest development was a good half-mile east. Or so I thought. After reading the letter twice more, I folded it up, slid it into a drawer, and drove straight to the county records office. They were used to this sort of thing, apparently. A man named Ed pulled up the plat maps on an ancient desktop monitor. "You're out on Hillcrest Spur, yeah?" he asked, scrolling through parcels. "That's right." He clicked a few more times, and there it was, my rectangular lot shaded in yellow. He cross-checked the coordinates, pulled up the GIS overlay, and nodded slowly. "You're not in an HOA, Ed said. Never have been. Closest one is Pine Ridge, like you said, but their official boundary stops right at the creek, a few hundred feet east of your place." I exhaled, relieved. "Then what the hell is this about?" Ed shrugged. "Misunderstanding? Or someone being overzealous?" I asked for a printed copy of the parcel map and the zoning overlay. He gave me both, highlighted, stamped, and dated. Before I left, I asked to see the records for the Pine Ridge Estates plat. That's when things got interesting. Ed leaned in closer to the screen. "Huh? What?" Their main access road, Birch Lane, was supposed to dead-end just before the creek. But the actual GIS data shows the road keeps going another 600 feet, right across your land. I blinked. "You mean their road is on my property?" "Looks like it." He turned the monitor slightly so I could see for myself. The road wasn't just brushing up against my boundary, it cut into my lot. Half a dozen houses, driveways, even a section of what looked like a community playground all overlapped into the western third of my land. I stared at the screen in stunned silence. How does something like that even happen? Ed clicked his tongue. Sloppy surveying. Or maybe someone decided it was easier to shift the road during construction and never updated the plat. And nobody noticed? Well, you didn't live there then. And the county doesn't usually go out with measuring tape unless someone complains. It didn't take long for the implications to sink in. The HOA thought I had built on their property. But the truth was, their entire street had been built on mine. When I got back home, there was another letter on my door, this one more stern. It mentioned non-compliance, fines, and escalation to county enforcement. I smiled and filed it next to the first one. Then I emailed Karen. I attached the county maps, the parcel boundaries, and a polite but firm message informing her that my cabin was not on HOA property. Rather, it was the other way around. I asked for a meeting. She replied within an hour. "I don't know what kind of scam you're trying to run, but Pine Ridge has existed for 14 years and we've had no issues until now. Your cabin is illegally built and must be removed." I didn't respond. Instead, I contacted a land use attorney and asked for a consultation. He reviewed the maps, verified the official plats, and told me flatly, "They're trespassing, Every inch of that road and those houses sitting on your land are in violation of your property rights. You could sue them, demand removal, or rent, or both. I didn't want a legal war, but I didn't like being threatened either. So I invited Karen and her board to a face-to-face meeting, on neutral ground, the county office, with Ed present. They showed up in full force. Karen, 2 other board members, and a real estate agent who introduced herself as their consultant. Karen wore a blazer and carried a thick binder, probably full of outdated HOA documents she thought would prove her point. Ed brought up the map on the big screen in the records room. He walked them through the property boundaries, confirmed the GIS data, and explained, in no uncertain terms, that my land had never been within their HOA. "And the road?" Karen asked, clearly flustered. "Built across the neighboring parcel," Ed said. "That parcel being his." I sat quietly while they processed it. The agent was the first to speak. "This could be a recording error. We should revisit the original surveys." "Already did," Ed said. "Everything lines up." The error wasn't in recording, it was in execution. Whoever built the road didn't follow the approved plans. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. She clutched her binder like it was a life preserver. "This doesn't make sense," she said. "We've maintained that road for years. We pay for snow removal, landscaping." "Which you've been doing on my land," I said. Silence. The meeting ended without resolution. Karen left in a huff. The other board members looked more sheepish, like they were realizing the ground beneath their feet was less stable than they thought. For the next few days, things were quiet. No letters, no knocks, no angry emails. Then, late one afternoon, I saw a group of residents standing at the edge of Birch Lane, just before it crossed onto my land. They were looking at survey flags I'd placed after having a professional surveyor restake the property lines. Their voices were low, uncertain. A couple glanced up at me as I stood on my porch. I didn't wave, just watched. By the end of the week, the threats had stopped entirely. No more letters. No more accusations. Karen's tone, when she finally did write back, was clipped but deferential. "In light of recent discoveries, the Pine Ridge Board is reviewing all documentation and construction records. We appreciate your patience." Translation: they knew they had screwed up. A month later, I received a new letter, this time from an attorney representing the HOA. But instead of threats, it contained an offer. They wanted to negotiate an easement agreement, legal permission for their road to remain on my land in exchange for a yearly fee and liability protections. It wasn't a huge sum, but it was something. A recognition that they were in the wrong. A formal shift in tone. I took the offer to my lawyer. We negotiated for a higher fee and added terms about maintenance, liability, and the right to revoke with proper notice. The final agreement was tight, fair, and thoroughly documented. I never heard from Karen directly again. Word had it she stepped down from the board a few months later. Too much heat, maybe. Or just the shame of realizing her righteous crusade had backfired spectacularly. As for me, I kept living in my cabin, now with the satisfaction of knowing I had won without ever needing to raise my voice. Their rules, their threats, their authority, all built on a foundation of assumption. And when that foundation crumbled, there wasn't much left to stand on. It's funny, in a way. They thought they could bully me off what was mine. But the truth doesn't care about letters or bylaws or how many years you've mowed a piece of land. Property lines are stubborn things. And this time, they were on my side. So now, when I sit on my porch and watch the HOA landscapers trimming bushes on the road below, I sometimes smile. Because every blade of grass they touch, still mine. And they pay me for the privilege. Let me know if you'd like this. Kindly subscribe this channel. Thanks for watching.